Good evening, everyone. It's Tom Sydney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Psych.Club, from the Tom Numbers Show. News of Tom Numbers on top of your game. I've got a lady that's always at the top of her game, SHEILA HOLM. Welcome back to the show, SHEILA. You proved very popular a few weeks ago prior to the eclipse. We're now about a week, maybe 9 or 10 days since the eclipse. So we're gonna see what's transpired since then. So welcome back. How are you?
We're doing good, and everything happened the way that we talked about. There was no demonic demon horned comet that destroyed the land. There was no split of the Mississippi River. We're doing good. The message was clear, and it's still clear, and we're doing good. It's been the same problem ever since the garden, and so we're doing what we're doing.
It was a nice. Did you get to see it? Did you get to see totality where you were?
Yes, in fact, I even have a picture from San Diego that I sent out on Facebook. It was the Museum of Man at Balboa Park, and you could see it right in the back of it. It was so crazy that they had the Museum of Man right off the Laurel Street Bridge, and then when the eclipse happened, you could see it directly. It was amazing.
So you were in
And
San
that's over on
Diego
the
when
other
it took
side of the
place.
nation. The what?
You were physically in San Diego when it took place.
No, friends gave me the picture. It's just awesome. It
Ah, okay.
actually it was exactly the same, because everything goes dark. That's what people forget. When there's a total eclipse,
Yeah.
everything goes dark, but it's momentary.
Yes. Were you in the line of totality or just outside it yourself?
I was to the east of it.
Okay. So you'd have probably got a good portion. Did you see like 90% totality, something like that?
You know what's really crazy? I'm not big on watching these things because it's not good on your eyes. No matter what anybody says, no matter what glasses you buy. It's so funny. People were saying we did all these protective measures and we did all these things, and then we bought like $3 glasses to protect our eyes. It was just really funny. It was just really funny what people were doing.
So you yourself didn't actually look up when it was on?
No, because you can see the shadow. Because it approaches, it covers, and then it immediately it only covers for a short period of time, then it starts to uncover. So it's
Yeah.
not, they made such a big deal out of it, and it's crazy. Nobody cared about 2017, nobody cared about 2023, but because I said the magnitude of everything that was happening, and it's all culminating with 2024, people went nuts. People went totally nuts.
Yeah, definitely had an aura and an energy around it. Did the birds come? Did the street lights come on? And did the birds sing for like a few seconds? Did they chirp? Did they tweet away?
Like it was evening. No, none of that happened. Darn it. We should have done it. We should have done a program that night watching all this.
Yeah, I saw a few clips of it, and there was one that was really well done. I don't know what state he was in, but he was out on his front lawn with friends and neighbors, and they had like a local TV station filming it as well. So they talked to the locals and to him, but then at the same time they were showing good graphic video footage with the local news station, and it was really good because here in England,
Wow.
in the south, you couldn't see it. In Scotland, they had parts of it. I don't know if people saw it or not. I guess some would have done. I don't know what the coverage was like in terms of clouds, but it looked great because you could see the proper ring. It was really the diamond, everything, and it was really well filmed. So at least it took us there for a few moments, and they had the street lamps go on, and I think if I remember rightly, I might have heard some birds. I know when I was in Greece in 1999, so it was Prince 1999. We thought it was all going to happen then. I was in Greece, and I was in Santorini, and I saw partial totality. In the UK, they had it full, but I think it might have been cloudy in Cornwall. And it got, like you said, you described it, got dark. We heard like the birds and things, and it was amazing. I'd love to see a full on, and I hope to at some point, but the one night eclipse I've experienced was in Greece. It was partial, but nevertheless, we could feel it when visually it changed, and it got darker, and the birds started to rustle and make little noises and stuff, and then like you say, it lit up again, and we were back to normal.
Wow. So you have a connection to Cornwall?
Probably. I mean, I think I've got Celtic roots, and Cornwall used to be an independent country. The word Cornwall comes to 98 in numbers. So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. So this is interesting because it used to be like you have Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Cornwall, Brittany, so for France on that side, and then even Celta down in the top corner of Spain. And they say that it was because the Roman Empire pushed out the Celts to the furthest most regions of Europe, hence Scotland, Wales, I guess maybe even little parts of northern England, but Ireland, Cornwall, Brittany, and Celta down in the tip of Spain. But yeah, the eclipse in '99, apparently totality was hit over Cornwall, if I remember rightly. I think it might have been cloudy in part of that day. I was over in Greece when it was on, but that was the last one that I can remember that we had hitting the UK. There's another one, I think, in either 2025 or 2026, and that will come across the Atlantic and it will go through part of Spain, I believe. So,
wow. Well, my great grandfather was raised in Cornwall, and when he got married, he moved to Lincolnshire. And his daughter, my grandmother, was born in Hunstanton and raised in Hunstanton in Lincolnshire. And then that's my grandmother of my mom, and my grandfather of my mom was born in America, but his family was from Kilmarnock, Scotland, and his father, his wife was from Wales, and so I have all of them I have Scotland, Wales, Cornwall, and England in my mom's side. Dad's just Norway, everything Norway.
Okay. Yeah, I've joked with Mark Atwood before. Atwood is 98 actually. Cornwall, Independence 98, Mission 98. I did a mission years ago in Scotland, 88 Trump. Profit is 98, but if you do 9 plus 8 comes to 17 Q. Diana's the first Q numbers I got in early lockdown was Diana's funeral at 9:08 in the morning. I was like, that's a code. 9 plus 8. Oh, Q 17. Diana Spencer 109. The word 17, 109 is approved, 109. So it's interesting. I think this battle has been going on a long time. But I joked before because Mark Atwood's mum is quite fond of me, and he said, "Why do you like him?" So we had a joke on one of his live shows with his mum, and I said, "Well, it's because I'm a handsome Celtic Viking." I said I'm a handsome Celtic Egyptian Viking, and he went,
"It's Mark Atwood."
He said, "Yeah," and he said, "Yeah,
he was going to be here. PPN had their event last week, and he was going to be here, and then he wasn't here. Mark Z was here, but not Mark Atwood. Wow.
Yeah, Mark's he's always busying around and usually takes on too much and then comes back around again. But yeah, that's funny because when you said about the Viking, so I felt intrinsically, Viking, Celtic, and Egyptian, and I think I've done some readings with people on that before, and they've said so. But it's interesting. You've got the Celtic and you've got the Viking, so it's appropriate that we're talking.
Well, we're linked to Robert the Bruce, and Robert the Bruce royal line goes back to Cleveland, which is Trondheim, Norway. And my dad's family lives. The farm is right at Trondheim Fjord, and they're in Viernes and Stordal, which is right below Trondheim. You know what I mean? So I called Mom and I said, "Dad, we've got a one branch family." She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you wanted me to go back on Robert the Bruce, so I did. I got back to 160 AD. And guess what? They're from Trondheim also." And Mom went, "Oh no, stop. Don't have us, But anyway, it's just funny.
Norway. I had someone in the comments say, "Come and visit Norway." I'd love to go. I've been to Denmark and Sweden. I used to have a Danish girlfriend years ago out there, and we met in Sweden and had a lot of friends out in Sweden. But I've not in this lifetime been to Norway yet. I'd like to go. So maybe, who knows, maybe this summer. Beautiful with the fjords. It's like Scotland, but it seems to even be bigger, the fjords, on that further up. Yeah, I'd love to get out there. It's interesting you talk about Norway. So my friend Ricky Lambert, he's a soccer player here, but he's a truther. He speaks out, and we were talking about the possibility of ships in the sky. I know a lot of people see those things, and I think it's something you have to kind of see yourself, because for about a year and a half since 2020, I hadn't seen anything. I was open to it, but then I saw stuff in Arizona, of all places, very clearly. And then from then on, I've seen them periodically. And I was telling Ricky about it, and he was saying, he was open to it. And then 10 days later, him and his mum were in Norway. and he saw some ships. And then we had a decode in the newspaper a day or two later. They talked about Norway and alien spit ships and so. Anyway, so it's funny, Norway. So I'm sure that might be a real magnetic place for things like that. But yeah, Norway, and I've even got a Norway T-shirt. It's not on today, but it's so Norway. This might be a sign from you, Sheila, that I should make the effort to go to Norway this probably this summer. You know, stay out there where it doesn't even get dark if you're right at the top. That'd be quite
beautiful. And I was in Oslo, but I went to a Greek restaurant. They were actually breaking the plates and everything. It was adorable. And then I got on the night train to go up to Trondheim to see the north, and take the night train with your beloved. And when you guys head up through the countryside in the nighttime, every town is so decorated and lit up and beautiful. And I understand all my dad's relatives now, because everything has to be kept up in Norway or you lose your property. But back to Diana, you mentioned Diana 9/8. She was on the cover of our Time magazine on 9/8. And here's the other connections. The Queen's death was announced. I'm doing this purposely. Her death was announced on 9/8.
Yes.
And that's exactly 17 months after Prince Philip's death was announced on the date. And then exactly 17 months to the day of the announcement of her death, they announced the death of Jacob Rothschild.
Yes.
There's a pattern going on here.
There is a pattern. They're recapturing, the good team are recapturing the numbers, and they're pointing them back at them, you know. What magazine? So when you said Diana was on the cover of Time magazine on 9/8, when was that? Was that recent or
I don't remember the year, but she was the cover story. Her picture was on the cover of Time magazine, and the date was 9/8.
So September 8th,
yeah, and it came up. It'd be in the information of the announcement of Queen Elizabeth on 9/8, because that was exactly 30 days after 8/8 of 22 when they raided Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, all of this is just
Lionsgate.
quite interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. They do it. They do all of that stuff. It's like, because 8/8 is, one way to look at it is 88, which is Trump, which is Scotland, which is Tartaria, which is Copenhagen. They just had a fire there at the stock exchange. Moscow is 88. Edinburgh is 88. Budapest is 88. Even good old California is 88. And even the color purple is 88. And it's like when you bring the reds and the blues together, because President Trump has even said he's not really kind of one or other. I mean, he's Republican because that was kind of the one he could run in, but he was Democrat. But he said before he's neither really party. He's just wants freedom for the people. But you blend those two colors together, the blue and the red, even the blue pill and the red pill, you put them together, you come up with the color purple, which is 88, which is Trump again, which is 88, and Lionsgate. And that's in even Back to the Future. Lionsgate.
Well, royalty kept the color purple too.
Exactly. And they know it. Both teams know it. Both teams know the power of the numbers, the power of the colors, the power of the frequencies, the power of the symbols. A lot of people freak out about symbols. You know, I have a friend, Pat Cash, the tennis player, and he's on our team. He's a good guy. And people were freaking out because I posted a video of Pat playing a rock and roll song with his girlfriend and friends. And he was wearing the CND logo. And I just said, well, Pat, he wants peace for the earth, and that's what we hoped for. And then people, I guess they're well-intentioned, or if not, but I know one person that pointed out that was well-intentioned. And they said, oh, well, that's an upside-down broken cross. I'm like, well, okay. You could also say that the letter Y is an upside-down broken cross with the head removed. You know, you can take all these things. It's like, just because it may have been that at one point, it doesn't mean that is now. And it depends on people's intention. And it's like, is purple a royal color? Is it just them? Or is it Trump and the new dynasty for the people? You know, it depends on your perspective. And so all things, colors, numbers, letters, symbols, flags, everything is all being taken back by the good intentioned people and team and divine galactics, however you want to look at it. Everything from my perspective is all returning to good. And so that symbol, if it makes someone think of peace, perfect, you know. And I know my friend is a good guy, and he's wearing that because he wants peace for the world, and that's why, you know. So
And it's true. When everybody remember when the big thing was about the red shoes, whoever wears red shoes.
Yeah,
And someone wore
exactly.
red shoes to a conference, but it went with her outfit. So there she is in
Yeah,
her outfit with the red shoes, and everybody said, she's a pedophile, she's a pedophile.
yeah,
Pervert, we gotta get her out of here, and she was persecuted for wearing an outfit that went with red shoes. It
yeah,
just it we can take things way too far because we didn't know these things, but
yeah,
there's the symbol alone means nothing. A
yeah,
symbol is attached to all these other things. So is there a
exactly.
pattern of something? It's the same thing. They get really crazy, about the numbers, but they don't understand they've been using them against us. And so
Yeah,
it's in our wisdom to understand what the numbers really are. It's just
exactly.
like maybe I should show that little Hebrew clip now. We showed it last time, but it relates to the message today too,
Sure, yeah,
because the Hebrew language operates in fifth dimension, fourth and fifth dimension,
yeah,
because there's a number, there's a letter, there's a pictograph, there's the combination of the letters, and then there's the overall meaning when you put it together.
yeah.
So if this is a good time for that, I could pull that up.
Sure, yeah, pull it up. And
I
like you were
think I
saying,
could.
Sheila, it's like it's
I'm in
intention.
training.
It's your intention. And so if you're talking about red shoes, it's like, well, plenty of people have worn red shoes and they had no idea about that. I've had red trainers in the past. I've had all kind of colors of trainers. I've had red, green, blue, white, black, gray, silver, yellow, orange. I've had all of them. I like all of the colors. So it's like, well, hang on, it's people's intention, and you have to. It's nuanced. All these things are nuanced, and it's like, well, if there's a pattern from a certain area, that's why people just need to. I usually think it's trolls, but if people are new to it, it's like study everything and see what the intention of everything is. You talked about the fifth dimension, so in numbers 184, the fifth dimension, or the fifth dimension comes to 184, comes to Princess of Wales, and we were just talking about Diana, so it's very appropriate.
I've got other things open here, but it's not showing me um,
Okay.
the right
If
thing
it doesn't
here.
come up, we can definitely share the link in the description once we publish the video. If
Okay.
there's a stumbling block, we can do that. What do you see from your perspective, Sheila, on how
Is it showing up now?
not showing up? No, no.
Okay.
While you're
Um,
looking at that, I was going to ask you, what's your perspective in terms of the trajectory that we're on? So we've had the eclipse, and it was a beautiful, elegant moment in time for people to experience. What do you see going forward from the eclipse in terms of the prophecies and the scriptures? What do you see? Where do you see we go now?
well, repentance. And what's really amazing after the eclipse, there's a Kim Clement prophecy, and the Kim Clement prophecy is from 14 years ago. This is how
Oh yeah.
miraculous all these numbers and dates and everything are. Okay, 14 years ago in 2010, Kim Clement did a prophecy. And what
Yes.
he said was, after the Jubilee, it's always a 50-year plan, which we don't even follow any of that. Then he numbered out some dates. It was going to start, the count was going to start, I believe, on January 22 of 24.
Okay.
Now he said this in 2010. So in 14 years, we're going to hit the Jubilee, then all this is going to happen. And then you count, and between 70 and 100 years,
Yes.
and so I'm going to have to make notes on what I'm mentioning here so we can make sure everybody gets to see everything, because this is so profound. So between 70 and 100 days, okay? So the 70th day count in 2024 from that date is March 31, which was Ishtar Easter.
Ah.
If they don't clean up their act, if they don't repent, if they don't do what they need to do, okay? This all matches with the eclipse of Nineveh. If you don't straighten this up, you'll be taken out, you'll be overthrown, you'll be removed, you'll be, So the 70 to 100 days, you were going to love this. The 70th day was March 31. The 100th day is April 30. What
Huh.
was the April palindrome? The palindrome, I think we showed it last time. If we didn't, I'm going to make sure we can provide that to the people too. The April palindrome, and everybody can take out a piece of paper, and this is how the numbers work in a palindrome, and it only happens every 100 years. So what you do is you write down 4/20/24. Now read it backwards. 4/20/24. Everything in the other kingdom operates backwards.
Yeah.
Everything for us operates forwards. The last 10 days of the repentance option, or you're out, is from April 20 to April 30.
Wow.
And that prophecy, what are the chances and it exactly matches the 100-year palindrome where 10 days go forward and backward. Only every 100 years. He knew 14 years ago, it came out of his mouth, that if you do not turn from your wicked ways, then you will be dealt with between 70 days and 100 days after the completion of the Jubilee, because you're still operating the way you want to operate, and the evil has to end, and boom, between the 70 and the 100 day, March 31, so 3/31 of 24 to 4/30 of 24. And now here's the other powerful part of this. Passover, because Hebrew operates also scripted backwards. So Hebrew, how they put the numbers together, the 4:30, 4:22 sundown is when Passover starts. It's an 8-day process. It's Passover that night, then it's unleavened bread the next day, then it's first fruits the next day, and at the end of the 8 days is when? Sundown on the 30th.
Huh. Wow.
So
everything's
Passover
all-
is at the exact same celebration time, and that's the same resurrection time. Passover out of Egypt is the same timing as the blood protecting us. So the blood that was required before for it to pass over. And that's why you'll love this little clip that's in Hebrew. You'll love how this all shows up, is because it explains the whole thing, that what happened when they did the X, it became the cross and it's salvation. That blood protects us. And in the Hebrew, the Aleph for the Father also is El, the Lord over all. So all these other gods, they're all dead anyway, but all these other gods are not at the level of the living Lord who's over all. And that's the signature on America. That Aleph is the difference between life and death. And that's the conclusion of the Hebrew clip that you're going to see. Because in that Hebrew clip, he gets to that point, and then what you see is you have the letter, you have the number, you have the pictograph. We can operate sometimes in 2 and 3D without any other assistance. But then Christ, when he left, sent the Holy Spirit as our guide and comforter. And through that tight connection, you have the ability to understand how to put the pictographs together, how to put the letters together in such a way that you get the fourth dimension. And the only way to understand beyond that is understand the difference. So when you have the Aleph with the Tav and the other letter of Hebrew, when you have the Aleph, you have truth and life. Those two letters in Hebrew combined together without the Aleph are death. So if you don't have truth, which we don't have truth in law right now, we have death in the court system. If we don't have truth in financial, we have death in our ability under credit. Everything is that way. And so in the fifth dimension, it comes that tight. It's how you combine the letters together. It's how you combine the structure together. And then it's very easy. If you remove one of the 3 letters, you don't have truth and life. You just have death. And it's in the letters and what they mean. So there's such a level that our team is operating at that it's beyond comprehension. And every day I'm sure you're getting it too. What do you think the team is doing? What do you think they're finding out? And what's going to happen in Iran? And what's going to happen in Israel? And what people don't understand is the 3 money laundering locations of American money is Iran, Israel, Ukraine. What's all stirring up? Ukraine, Israel, Iran. Now, how is this so bizarre? The secret societies that the Pilgrims knew about all came to America. In 1864, 2 men brought in all of them, and our Congress has paid for them to have their castles in every state. That's how crazy this is. And like it was brand new. None of this is new. we paid, our Congress in 1864 enacted these secret societies, and they're funding them. And the Red Cross, American Cancer Society, is under the top one. They're controlling all of this. They're controlling everything in our lives because we didn't stay aligned with the truth. And that's why that little Hebrew clip is so, so critical. I am going to try and pull it up and view it, because it tells it all in 4 minutes and 30 seconds from the beginning of Aleph all the way through, and how they combine together. And the Hebrew scholar sits there and he puts down the name for father, the lettering. Those letters have numbers. When you add up the numbers of the letters, it's 3. When you add up the numbers for the mother, it's 41. Together, it's 44. When you put down the letters in Hebrew for a child, the letter and the numbers that show up total 44. So the father and mother have a child equal of the mother and father. And so it's a way of communicating and knowledge. And that's what Eliezer ben Yehuda was aware of. He's the man who modernized Hebrew, because Paleo Hebrew, no one was really understanding it that hadn't lived in it over the centuries. And he was told he was dying in a short period of time. Eliezer ben Yehuda. Somebody gave me his autobiography and said, you need to know this. And his best quote is, if you forget your language and your land, you have no understanding of your culture. So you have no cultures. So that's what they've done, is mix the cultures, confuse the cultures. That's what they do. They confuse the numbering systems. That's why they're questioning us. Well, what do you mean those are the number? I mean, you mean you figured it out? It's been the mysteries to us because we didn't know. We didn't know how all of this worked. We didn't stay on top of it. And this man was dying, and he said, what should I do in my remaining days? And God said, modernize Hebrew so that more people understand it and understand who they are. So he did. He outlived his wife, married his wife's sister, and I'm pretty sure he outlived her too, because he had this project to do. And the Bible scholar that transcribed the Bible into from the Hebrew into the English Bible, the One New Man Bible, Bill Morford, he was told to move to Florida. He was told what town to move to in Florida. And when he was looking at houses, he was told what house to go into in Florida. When he moved into that house, he was around the corner from the grandson of Eliezer ben Yehuda to get the assistance of the Eliezer ben Yehuda research on how to do all the transcriptions and make sure that it would work. That's how powerful, and that's what operates in 4 and 5D. Now, this is what our guys did not know, is when I kept saying, and what we were going to show today, and I'll give some descriptions of it, and I'll make sure that Tom has all the pictures for you. There's a drastic difference in what the Pilgrims brought us in the Faith Monument. In the Faith Monument, it goes from morality to liberty and freedom. Now, it never got up until 1889, 100 years after the inauguration of President Washington. In 1865, when they had lost the Civil War, well, they decided to go home. All they were doing was killing believers. So when they realized that, and we'd already lost over 700,000 men in America, they decided to go home. So when they went home, it was over, but they put up a cornerstone in 1865 of an identical monument to the Faith Monument. So they already knew what the Pilgrims had developed and what they were trying to have built. It's a granite monument. It's in Plymouth, Massachusetts. And so they had the 4 pillars, just like the 4 pillars of the Faith Monument. But here's the difference: no 10 Commandments, no Bible. Without truth, without life, the living Lord, all you have is death. And we've been living enslaved ever since then, because we didn't have that truth when they understood. They gave up everything in Europe to come here and be free of tyranny. And the tyranny came back here and encroached everything in their lives again. And you can see it in each of the statues. And that's why I do comparisons with morality. All you have is a woman writing some notes with a pen and looking at other people and writing down what she thinks is history. So they're making up history, and that's what they've been doing. And then the next one, instead of law, morality has her eyes closed. Checking in her heart. What is the truth about this with Christ in your heart? What is the truth about this? And until you know the truth about it, she's holding the 10 Commandments in her left hand and the scrolls of the Bible in her right hand, because the Bible had just been transcribed by Tyndale, and then they gave Cloverdale the credit after they burned Tyndale at the stake in England, King Henry VIII. And so she's holding the scrolls, and just, this is how we live. And you look to that to guide your way. And then the next one is law, and it's equal. So you have equal justice if you give equal mercy. There has to be mercy balanced with justice. So if you do something to harm me today, I gather my peers, you gather your peers, let's get together tonight and we'll hash it out. And amongst us, there's enough people who can see this is what the truth really is, and you operate on that truth, and that's your decision. On the other monument, there's a guy holding, there's a factory wheel by him, and he's holding a little hammer, a wooden hammer, a mallet, and totally dejected, hand open and wanton. He gave up everything in Europe, and he was already in a factory in Europe. Now he comes here for liberty and freedom, and he's just a factory worker in America. He didn't gain anything, and his family is over in England, over in Europe. He can't get back. And so he gave up everything to come and be in America and live in liberty and freedom. And he's got nothing. Okay. Then the next one is education. And the mom on the faith monument is holding the 10 Commandments and the Bible, and she's teaching the children. And on the side panels, it shows the grandparents. Now I can actually tell you this is in the new book. One of the 45 points on how to destroy a nation, you convince every single child that all their negative influences are from their own parents and their own grandparents. You want to understand where rebellion comes in and why they depart from the parents and want to live in the world and not according to the parents' guidance in their life. It was all planned to destroy the family and destroy us from being able to live the way we can live free on the land. So the grandparents are on the side with the world globe and the Bible, teaching the children, mentoring them, and the parents teaching them. And on the other one, it's just a woman with a sheath of wheat, and it's called plenty, prosperity. You come around to the fourth pillar, and when you go from morality to law based on the Bible and 10 Commandments to education based on the Bible and the 10 Commandments and the mentoring of the grandparents, you end up in liberty. And that's a guy sitting on the crowned head. And he's got his foot on that neck of that person with the crown on the side panel. And he's skinned the lion. The lion doesn't only represent England, it represents the two top families in the 13 that start with the letter R. So here's that stand-up lion that you see when anyone dies in England, and they put the wrap like they did with Diana and they did with the Queen. On top, you see it in red and gold, and there's that lion, stand-up lion. So that's who he skinned. And he's got the head under him, and he's got the limp, because he's already skinned it, the limp paw of that lion is over his right shoulder, and he's got the eyeglass looking out over the horizon to make sure that no tyranny comes into this land. That was the plan. Now, what's on the soldier monument? A Civil War soldier with his head down, with the Civil War cap on, with the cape on, exactly what they wore in the Civil War. He's got his own musket in his hand. His foot is on broken clay pots, and Kim Clement had a prophecy on broken clay pots and what that meant. But in essence, they came here for protecting their own assets. It's whoever's got whatever assets. And that's all it means to them. He's totally dejected. And what's by his left foot? A stack of cannonballs. What does that mean? He has to protect his own land and protect his own family and his own assets. He didn't gain anything in coming to this country except having to start over and develop your wealth on your own again. And now there's no major future for any of them. They don't have liberty and freedom. So those are the two monuments that we were going to talk about today, but it relates to everything we're in right now. We've all been enslaved under a structure we didn't believe we were enslaved by. And they've been able to get away with this because they make people who do numbers, they make people who do these things, oh, don't listen to those people, don't listen to what they're saying, don't know their meanings on. And look what's happened to us, Tom. And the conspiracy theory came out when we figured out what happened to Kennedy. That's when they created the term conspiracy theorist, and
Mm.
conspiracy theory. We knew what they did, and they made us conspiracy theory people, conspiracy theorists on that very time, because you can't have the truth or people won't believe the lies. So
Exactly.
they've taken out people with the truth. The day they took out Kennedy, they took out Aldous Huxley, and they took, and you're going to love these numbers, and they took out C.S. Lewis. You guys know him. He's from England. Screw tape letters to tell believers what was happening in the world. Aldous Huxley, who wrote Brave New World. Okay. What are the chances? All
Well, they
three of
died
those
on this.
men,
They died on the same day as Kennedy.
they were taken out on the exact same day, all three of them. 11/3/3, 1963. And nobody even knew Aldous Huxley, and because it was such a horrific thing, the nation just went completely silent because they took out Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
And because they took out Kennedy, nobody noticed this, but they took out Aldous Huxley and C.S. Lewis on the exact same day. So the three men, he was out there telling us, this is how they're going to do it. It's an invasion, an infiltration, not an invasion. It's going to be done through subversion. You're going to have guerrilla armies by night instead of, he told us everything, because Eisenhower told him, because he was a general in World War II. And he told him everything, because then by the time he was president, he learned all the rest of it. So he warned Kennedy about, and God bless Kennedy, but he tried to tell us everything right away. In 7 days before they took him out, and then from 7 days before 11/22/1963, whatever date that would be, 7 days before he gave the speech, and he said, while I'm still in this high noble office, none of us knew that if you get all the way to the top of the Knights of Pythias, and the only two that are living named on the website are Charles Schumer, who's in our Senate, and Anthony Weiner, who was in our Congress. Those are the only two. But I mean, leaders, Bob Jones of Bob Jones University, Christian University, high noble. That's as high as you can go. You go through all of the Masonic and Shriner, then you go through all the orders of knighthood. And if you come from Skull and Bones, is Skull and Bones below Knights of Pythias? If you start out with Masonic, it's Masonic symbol underneath Knights of Pythias when you go to the meetings, because that shows I came in as a Mason and now I'm Knights of Pythias. But you have to go through all these orders of knighthood all the way up, and the top one is where the media people, the entertainment people, the Louis Armstrong, the trumpet player. I mean, it's a whole variety of names. Even territorial governors before we were even states were all high nobles. It's on their memorial page in the Knights of Pythias. So this whole control, but it's in Europe and it came to America. So if you didn't know it was in Europe, these are the guys controlling everything, because they decided to all come together and be in the club that you'll never be in. And they make their decisions in secret. So that's why he said, while I'm still in this high noble office, is when he was going to reveal all these things to us, because he said everything secret is repugnant. But we had no way to understand what he was even saying. And 7 days later, he was taken out.
Wow, the Knights of Pythias. Don't think I've ever heard of that. That's interesting.
It's in book 4, and then I put it in book 5. And if you want a fun story, but I don't know if you have any other questions on this, but if you want a fun story, I can tell you a fun story that drives everybody crazy about how God gives me this information.
Yeah, just a few questions and observations. So I was just doing some numbers while you were sharing that, Sheila. So were you saying with JFK then, so did he, because he got to the top office, did he become a Knights of Pythias and then he was about to flip it and share it? Is that what you, no? Okay. Because I don't mind that. I think, a lot of our
That's
guys.
why they took him out, is because he
Okay.
didn't know any of these things. Eisenhower told him everything. And Eisenhower told him everything so he would know how to deal with them. And God bless Kennedy, he wanted us to know. So we're going to handle this together as a nation. And he was excited and vibrant. Now, there's a date in September, and I'd have to look it up, but in September of 1963, they took on Bush 41, because they were a Bush family. Their name is Scherf out of Germany. Bush is the SS name of Prescott Bush. He was an SS agent. But so was Bush 41, who was in the Navy when he was 16 in Germany and then came to America. They're all German. And the Scherf family There's so much I could tell. I mean, there's such history that's been provided on this by direct sources with photos, with lineages, everything brought in from the top people in Germany to reveal all this to us. But Bush 41 was in charge of the team to take out Kennedy. Bush 41, because his dad was the assistant to Tesla, took out Tesla with Borman. I have the picture of them in book 4 in my book series because this is how they did it. And in September of 63, here's Kennedy as president. His brother, Robert, was the AG. The two of them met with the father of Bush 41 and made him resign. He was in our government, made him resign. And they said, we'll give you back the money that he got because he was taking Tesla information and selling it to Germany. He was like a double agent. And so he was doing all of this. And when he did this, they found money that they contain. What do you call it when they retain? Anyway, they put a lock, a hold on your money. And so the government had done that. So they were going to release the money, but he had to sign a document. And they had a document that he signed that would say that nobody else in your family will ever, ever be in office in America in any way, shape, or form. And his son, Bush 41, was in all these different offices and then president. 43, the son, the grandson, and all these offices and governor, etc., and then president. And then they tried to put Jeb in as president. So they didn't follow that requirement whatsoever, but that was done 2 months. I think it's almost to the day. It may be 1 week shy, but maybe to the day of when he made the announcement before he's dead.
Wow. Knights of Pythias. See, that's a 98 Pythias. Pythias. There's a new letter. Pythias 98. So that's it. Like we were saying earlier, they both go for the same numbers. You know, they know that the importance of them. Knights is 88. So Knights of Pisces is 20. Is 207. Drop the 0. You got 27 code red. JFK. Knights of Pythias. 207. The White Dove Society. The Knights of Pythias. 240. In the year 24. Wow. So in your understanding then, Sheila, that's the very top office. Would you say that's the top office, like globally? Is that the top, or is it the top in terms of political, or the top of everything?
Well, once you get there, you're the ones that rule everything.
Okay.
And you keep getting promoted when you'll do whatever they want you to do. And that's what was so remarkable. It was on September 9 of last year, 23, that I met Stephen Friend. He's the one guy of the three that was a whistleblower on the FBI. And so he was giving his speech, and what he said was, you're not going to understand what's going on until you see what they do internally. And internally, if you go against the Constitution, if you go against integrity and you just do whatever you're ordered to do, you're the ones that get the raises and you're the ones that get the promotion. He did not know that the FBI building in DC is built on Knights of Pythias land granted to them by our government that we paid for. But it's in the 10 square miles of DC, which they say is separate sovereign soil now. But there's a plaque on the northwest back corner of the FBI building that takes up 2 blocks in DC. And then on the back of that building is a plaque that said that this was the original founding address of the Knights of Pythias.
Stephen
and
Friend,
they try and credit President Lincoln, which is why they dedicated the soldier monument to President Lincoln. They knew he was trying to keep the Bible in the forefront of this country. They weren't going to have it.
Stephen Friend, I had a friend called Stephen Friend once, actually. What's Stephen Friend? So tell us about Stephen Friend. This is new to me.
He is one of the 3 whistleblowers that was in a congressional hearing regarding the FBI.
He's not in Bayonetta. Via networks, no, that's not him. Stephen Friend, whistleblower.
Stephen Friend. He has a book out called True Blue. I'll send you the picture and everything and the information.
Okay. Okay.
But see, he didn't understand you have to be willing to go against the American Constitution in order to get the promotions. You have to be willing to be trusted to do what we want you to do the way we want you to do it, or we deal with you or you're out. And so they've all been suspended.
Wow.
But the FBI was created by J. Edgar Hoover, and that's when he was in his early 20s. He created the FBI and the investigation division, and he was in control of it. He was at work on Monday, went home that night, and then wasn't at work on Tuesday. He passed during the night. Now there's rumors that they took him out because he was done cooperating, and I can't imagine that because he was so grateful to be so powerful. And look at who they are. Look who Charles Schumer is, and now they've never lost, guys. They've had no consequences. Can you imagine if all your prior generations were in this club and you had a goal of getting in this club because you could do whatever you wanted to do and have all the money you wanted and fly on jets and all the stuff they're doing. If you could have all of that, and none of the prior generations paid consequences because they've never been dealt with the way they're being dealt with right now in these few months of our lives. Never have they been up on consequences. Can you imagine what that is like for them right now?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if we talked, it was right about the time of the, right before the eclipse, maybe a week before, maybe 10 days before the eclipse.
Yeah.
When Juan got back from Antarctica, the headlines were that Iran owned the property rights to Antarctica, right? I mean, what are the chances that Iran that has no money now owns Antarctica? I don't think so. So anyway, Juan had, in his interviews, had confirmed they've stolen everything. They steal the technology and take it there. They steal this and take it there. They've taken everything and built this whole community in underneath the ice cap in Antarctica. And so all this is going on. So there's Juan doing all these interviews in Antarctica. As soon as he leaves Antarctica, what's the headline after Iran? Did you see this?
No.
$980 trillion was forcibly removed from their clandestine bank accounts. Now, what would a clandestine bank account be? It wouldn't be one in Russia or China or Europe or the United States or Africa, not the banks that we can be involved in. Clandestine banks would probably be where they stole and took everything else in Antarctica. $980 trillion.
Trillion. That's 98.
Yeah, because they've stolen from every nation. They've destroyed Argentina. They've destroyed Venezuela. They've stolen everything from every nation. How do they do this? The members of the club are running the nations. Do you know what people are just finding out now? And I can send you the chart. Did you know that out of the department heads in America, only 3 are American citizens and not citizens of Israel? Did you know that
I've heard that most have got those passports, So sorry, just backtrack a second, SHEILA. So the 980 trillion, who was it that had that taken? Who was that? Which country?
The 980 trillion has been forcibly removed from their clandestine banks. The money they stole from us has now been pulled out of their banks. They're not saying where they're holding it.
When you say they, who, like which country, which nation?
The 980 trillion was stolen from the nations by the people running all the nations and over everything. It's one club.
Okay, but did it identify did it say it was Iran or it was Israel or it was another entity? Did it say
no, it's not an individual nation. No, it's because the cabal runs everything.
So
they have been running everything. And they use the word cabal, but you can use many different names for them, but you can use the word cabal, but they had stolen everything from every nation repeatedly. And boom, there they are.
It's interesting when you said it was 98 trillion, well, 980 trillion. So if you drop the zero,
another 98.
Another 98, which is Pythias, and then trillion. So if you just do Pythian or 98 plus trillion, 109, Then that comes to 207, comes to Knights of Pythias. Yeah, Knights of Pythias is 207. 98, 980. Yeah, 98 trillion. I know it's 980, but I'm just adding those two numbers together. Wow.
And it's something like people's children right now would have to live to be 120 to pay off the 34 or 35 or 38 trillion on the debt
Yeah.
clock in America. And people are like, oh my gosh, we're going to have 980 trillion. And I wrote back right away, world 980 trillion. They have completely destroyed Argentina. They completely destroyed Venezuela. They completely destroyed. I mean, you look at all these nations. Why? Because it's their leaders that are running everything.
Mm.
And so all they're doing is stealing from us. There's how many videos are there on YouTube from back in the 50s and 60s? It doesn't matter what you say they need the money for. Just give it any kind of a title. Just keep giving them a reason to take the money.
Yeah.
This has been going on forever.
There's a nice meme that was going around quite a few times, and it's like, well, if they can print money out of nothing, fractional reserve banking, why do you need to pay taxes? Why do you need to pay interest? Because it's all designed to suck the energy, the labor, the very life force out of everybody. It's an economic and interdimensional conscious Hoover, isn't it? It just vacuum. It sucks everything out. That's what it is. It's a Pac-Man on steroids. That's what it was. That's what it was. But Trump's going to drain the swamp. They're going to get caught with their knickers down soon. So,
well, and look what it does to the economy. I just shared this. There's a it's about the cost for a farmer to fill the tank and be out in the field. Did you see this? It just came out yesterday.
no.
I'm gonna pull it up.
That's
Because the
interesting,
numbers are
talking about the
staggering.
farmer in the
A
field.
tanker load of diesel in September of 2020 would cost a farmer $10,100. That's an entire huge gas tank that you keep on your farm. I grew up on the farm. A tanker load today on March 11 of 2022 is more than 3 times that, $33,750. So to fill up your tractor in 2020, the cost was $230 a day. Now to fill up your tractor as of March 11, 2022 is $765 a day.
And has it gone up since 2022 as well? In the last 2 years, has it gone up again?
Well, absolutely. But I mean, you can see from those 2 years, it's gone up more than 3 times. And now it's increased more drastically than that.
Yeah.
So the cost, I mean, what they're doing is making it, look at the food supply. The man from the Netherlands, and I don't remember his name, just did another video again this morning. And he said, guys, when they stop the food supply and they stop the supply chains and they stop the, do you see what's happening here? We're not going to have anything, and we're not watching what's happening. We're not over the top of this as to what's happening and realizing, come up and see the 35, 40,000 foot view and see what's going on here. They're choking us from every single direction.
When you said about the farmer field and with the tank, it made me have imagery of the scripture that talks about, when there'll be 2 in a field and then 1 goes. What's your feelings on that, SHEILA? What do you see that in terms of the timeline and prophecy coming, and what do you feel that actually is? Do you think that's a literal, physical, just 1 will be left in the field? And if so, does it mean they've died, or one's been raised to a higher dimension? What do you feel what does that mean to you?
Well, when I grew up on a farm, there were at least 4 yard lights and family homes in every section of land.
Yeah.
That's a mile. A section of land is a mile. When they got out of the military, they got 160 acres. And that was the marker. If you served in World War I or whatever, they gave you 160 acres. So that's what was happening. And 160 acres is 1/4 of a square mile. So there were 4 families in every square mile.
Okay.
Now you have miles where there are no farmers, no buildings, no yard lights. And that's been going on for a long time.
Okay.
That's been going on for a long time. Now, our family had the farmed for over 100 years. We didn't implode the buildings until probably 2015, 2016. And now they're farming all the way out to the roadside. So
Huh.
all it is farmland. There's no trees. They took down everything. It is, but they turned into corporation farms a long time ago. And
Yeah.
so many families were losing their farms as of 2000, 2001. I tried to go back and help one of the small towns in my community, and all they wanted to do was supplement their income. They didn't want to have other people come in and get the jobs. I was trying to create jobs, get more families in, keep the
Mm.
schools alive, because what they do is keep consolidating the schools. But every layer that we just talked about in these past few minutes, every one of these layers was absolutely predetermined and planned. So
Mm.
that you break up the family, you break up the structure, and then you head toward 15-minute cities. We didn't see it coming. And 15-minute cities is what? China, where you have to live in their buildings and work for them, and you're enslaved completely in
Yeah.
order to have a place to live and to have enough money to pay bills and to get around in a car, because they wanted us all electric. Well, all electric, you have to spend 8 or 9 hours getting it recharged to go 200 miles. So you
Yeah.
couldn't go distances. So they've turned it into this unrealistic green process, and none of them are living green. And many of them have multiple jets, not just one or two, and
Mm.
are flying them all the time. And when they get there, they have big, long Cadillac limos, and they've got entourages around them in their Cadillacs, and that's just the way they live.
Yeah.
And so they're making a joke of us, and we're like, oh my gosh, we got to get an electric car. We're frequency. We don't even understand. You understand this more than I do. I'm not a scientific person, but we're frequency, and we're just going to sit in this electric vehicle when we get exhausted from all the power lines and stuff around us.
Mm.
And now we want to go sit in an electric vehicle and drive it to and from. And we don't see where they're headed with us. We just don't see it.
I saw this film a few nights ago. Can't remember the name of it. It's quite wacky, but they talked about worry-free. It was worry-free club or worry-free zone, and it was basically that. It was a imagery of people just had their compartmentalization of everything. They didn't even have, I think, don't even think they had money. They just had everything provided, but it was all shrunk down. Do as you're told. Be on the farm, And in terms of as well, so the gradual sparseness of the farmlands which you've described, in terms of the scripture that I was thinking of, do you think that is some kind of rapture event further down the line where, two are working in the field and then one just disappears, goes? Any thoughts on that? Or do you think that's what you've described as a kind of actual physical process and evolution of, they basically attack the farmers because that's the heartland. You need the food, you need the grains, you need everything else. But do you have any thoughts on that kind of instant process of two farmers in a field and one is taken? Any interpretation on that?
Absolutely. Tim LaHaye, that did Left Behind, is from San Diego. I thought he was really a nice guy, and I found his
Say the
information
name again.
interesting. And Tim LaHaye, that wrote the Left Behind series, and
Oh,
that
okay.
all of a sudden people are going to be gone, and if you're left, that means that you're the bad ones, and you're not going to go up, you're going to go down. So that what he did was, and I don't know, I liked him. I think he was he was a pastor of a church in East County in San Diego County, and he was a nice guy, a gentle guy. And then this popular series he did, I don't know, but that it was done by recommendation of the club. And I didn't know any of the stuff that I just shared with you today, except the one fun story I'm going to tell you from 1993 that leads to Knights of Pythias and Abraham Lincoln. But this guy wrote these books, wrote this book series, and then did the movies. Why did he do this? Because it flips the switch on us. And everything they do flips the switch on us to get us to believe something that isn't how it's going to be. Because we, being the remnant, rapture is not in the scripture, but rapture has been taught is that if you're really good, then you're going to be able to get out of here before there's trouble. if that was true, I don't think we I don't think we'd still be here now in the midst of all of this stuff,
Yeah.
because we've been in horrific times dealing with this, and it was speeding up, but we had no idea. They've had to rethink because she lost in 2016. So if Hillary wouldn't have lost in 2016, they were done with us. Every 20 year in every century, there's a
Wow. Well, thanks, Sheila. In conclusion, I wanted just to share something briefly with you, and you talked about C.S. Lewis, and Huxley, Audrey Huxley, was it right? And
Aldous
JFK.
Huxley.
Aldous Huxley. I need to look into him. I've heard the name, I believe, but I need to look into him. So C.S. Lewis, I looked at this a while ago, but I've just done some more numbers on it and confirmed it. So he wrote the book The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is great. And I remember reading it as a kid, and I remember watching the BBC adaptation and watching the films, and just, it's brilliant. And there's some things I wanted to point out, because you mentioned the witch, okay? And the lion is, in my opinion, Donald Trump. So Donald is 50 in numbers. America is 50. Paul is 50. Eileen is 50. They're important people in my relatives that passed on, give me the numbers, etc. Fight is 50. So the lion comes to 83, comes to election, comes to faithful. But Donald is the lion. He's even got the hair, the golden locks. He is the lion. I've been saying that for a long time. You might have even been saying that as well. The witch, we know who the witch is. She didn't get in, she didn't get in 2016. But then the wardrobe, what or who is the wardrobe? And this is where we go. This is what my mind thinks. Christopher Nolan shared a film called The Prestige, which featured David Bowie playing Nikola Tesla. And in 2020, when Ivanka was on the Trump administration, the White House team, they would do, daily briefings, and quite often she would be with President Trump for some of those briefings. President Trump talked about bringing back jobs. He said he's going to make a pledge and give American workers their jobs back during the height of the pandemic. In the Christopher Nolan film, The Prestige, which is all about Tesla physics, other stuff that we don't, us mere mortals don't fully understand, but it's been hidden from us, but it's helping. I believe that the good team are using Tesla's physics and knowledge to help bring about all these purposes. In fact, I know that, but Ivanka, bless her, there's three films there's three parts to this thing in The Prestige. There's a trailer you can watch online. Michael Caine, who's one of the characters, he says there's three parts to a magic trick. And he says, first of all, you've got the pledge. So that's the trick. And he says, then there's the turn. You've got to make the rabbit disappear or the dove disappear. But then, that's not good enough. That's not enough to wow them. They're not wowed. Then you've got the prestige. You've got to bring it back. And I say 2016 was the pledge. President Trump got in, wasn't supposed to. 2020 is the turn, or the beginning of the pause. He said it's a 2-year pause. In fact, it'll be a 4-year pause. He says it's the final battle this year. And then the prestige is the bringing of it back. So everything is going to be restored. But the third component of the lion, the witch, and the wardrobe, in my opinion, is Nikola Tesla. Because when you do the numbers on the wardrobe, that is 33, which is magic, which is Don, gate. And it's a great number. That's why they took it. That's why we've taken it back. Wardrobe is 86, which is pyramid. But the pyramid, or the wardrobe, comes to 119 in numbers, comes to redemption. It's a mirror of 9/11, so all evil deeds will be restored. But 119 comes to Nikola Tesla. So it's the lion, which is Donald, the witch, which is her. The wardrobe is 119, which is Nikola Tesla. And in the prestige, they have what looks like a wardrobe in the corner of a room, and you've got Tesla, you've got David Bowie coming out of it, and it's featured, but it looks in the shape of a pyramid. It's a pyramid-shaped wardrobe in the Prestige, and it's all about Nikola Tesla and the other physics. And the Prestige, the wardrobe is 119 in numbers, Nikola Tesla. I believe that's why that's there. And it's so interesting you say about C.S. Lewis, because I didn't realize that about C.S. Lewis. I feel that there's another story, another layer of reality to the whole Kennedy story, because JFK passed on November 22nd, 1963. 63 is Friday in numbers, so Friday is 63. It happened on a Friday. The very next day was a Saturday. Saturday comes to 190 numbers. It comes to 17. It comes to Witness. It comes to Zapruder. My friend Mark Atwood pointed this out to me. Back in England, on the Saturday, the very day after JFK, like you said, people didn't realize about C.S. Lewis and Huxley because it was all about JFK around the world. There's a TV series called Doctor Who, and that was aired on BBC on Saturday, on November 23rd, the Saturday. And it's all about time travel. It's all about Tesla physics, really. But it got squashed because of all the events of Kennedy, so they re-showed it again the following Saturday. And then it was a long-running series for a long time. And, you know, the TARDIS, the police box, you go into it, and it's a time machine, it's a time lord, and, you know, dimensions of reality are different. You go into a small TARDIS telephone box, and it, you know, the size of it is different. I think, if I remember rightly, TARDIS is 68 Mar-a-Lago, if I remember right. I need to check that. It might be 71, Diana Spencer, but I need to, sorry, Lady Diana. I think it's 68. I'll check that. But what I wanted to say about that is, if you do the numbers on Saturday, November 23rd, so the day after JFK, and this TV show in England about interdimensional physics, Tesla physics, Saturday, November 23rd, in numbers comes to 369, the Tesla numbers. It's all connected. It's all connected. And the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is 119, which is Nikola Tesla, which is redemption. Even Mary Magdalene, you know, but it's a mirror of 9/11. And there's also a bad side to the number 119, which I'm not going to say, but they know the power of the numbers. You can do things either evilly or you can do it divinely through the other physics. Other physics is 165, which is resurrection. The other physics is 198, which actually comes to the Lion, the Witch. It comes to 198. It's all in there. So it actually says the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. The Lion, the Witch, that comes to 198, comes to the resurrection, and Nikola Tesla. It's like we're redeemed somehow through the other physics, which is which is higher dimensionally connected to God, to our Creator, to people like Tesla and the good guys, you know, and ladies throughout time and history that we've been part of, and we get the chance to, you know, be part of it here right now. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you, Sheila, you know.
Did you know, you probably already know about President Trump's Uncle John? That's who his middle name is, after John.
Yeah.
And he got all the Tesla. What are the chances out
I know.
of every expert, the government gave all the Tesla information to John Trump? I mean,
I
what
know.
are the chances that would happen? But
In all the gin joints in all the world, he happens to walk into Teslas, you know.
yeah.
And then you've
I
got the
got
Baron
to,
Trump time machine books, you know, you've got all the books about
yeah,
Baron Trump being a time traveler. And it's spelled
yeah.
slightly different. So it's Baron with one R, which actually takes the value of that to Baron Trump with one R, takes you to 138, which is Donald Trump. And he has a mentor that called, I think, Don, lives, you know, he's a big rich man in this city. And Baron is 68, as his son now. 68 is Mar-a-Lago. And let me check. I believe TARDIS is 68 from memory. I haven't done it for a long time. Let me just double check. So TARDIS, which is the time machine in the Doctor Who series. Yeah, it is. It's no, it's 71, correction. 71 is TARDIS, which is Diana Spencer. Sorry, Lady Diana. It's Psych, it's my channel. But it's a mirror of 17. If you do 71 plus 17, that comes to 88, which is Trump. But I know what it is. It's Doctor Who. So it's DR yeah, DR, which is 22 MAGA, plus WHO, 46, which is best, which is Dove. President Trump was born in 1946, wasn't it? Yeah, officially, if you did maybe 1945, some others say, but let's, the official one is 1946. President Kennedy died, passed over, dimensionally changed, however we want to do that one, when he was age 46, which is 46, which is Dove. So Doctor Who, or Doctor 46, or Doctor Dove comes to 68, which is Baron, which is Mar-a-Lago. And the other thing I believe that, well, it's my thought, I've said it before, that I think the whole thing with Kennedy was not exactly as shown. I think there's dimensional time changes on it. So if you do the numbers on time travel, that's 125. John Kennedy is 125. Dark to Light is 125. 8th Avenue, where the Tesla building, the New Yorker hotel that he lived in, 8th Avenue is 125 time travel. If you do time travel, witness protection, in numbers, it also comes to 369, which comes to Saturday, November 23rd, 369. And you had Doctor Who about time travel and physics and Tesla physics. That was, the day after. And I didn't know about C.S. Lewis, but I've always felt that the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is about interdimensional physics. It's all about the other physics. It's about time travel. It's about timelines. And the Lion is Donald. The Witch is who we know. And then the Wardrobe is 119, Redemption, a mirror of 9/11. And that comes to Nikola Tesla, 119, the Wardrobe. And Christopher Nolan knows this stuff. He is a white hat director. He filmed The Dark Knight Rises. Trump Tower physically was used as Wayne Tower. There's a connection with that. He references JFK in Oppenheimer.
Batman.
Exactly, with Batman. That's it. Exactly. That's it.
He even did the symbol with the eclipse of his head in front of causing the eclipse, which was brilliant. But there's a cute little film when he was in Air Force One. This is months ago, of course. There's a little kid goes, "Sir, are you Batman?" And he goes, "Yes, I'm Batman."
I'm Batman. I know. That's great.
On October 5 last year, so 10/5 of 23, here comes all of the lighting, putting the red in the sky with his head at the top of the Batman costume up in the sky. They put the image right up in the sky. And I forget where he was speaking on 10/5, but it was a significant turning point. But do we have time? There's a cute little story about Knights of Pythias, Abraham Lincoln from San Diego. Do we have?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. When you said as well about Batman, so if you do Superman in numbers 107, it comes to quantum 107, military 107, Trump's 107, and superhero is 125, which is John Kennedy, which is time travel, which is Dark to Light. All these things, whether it's history, science, popular culture, comic books, superheroes, sports, whatever it is, sports is 107, quantum, Trump, Superman, everything that, all the plethora of life here that we can enjoy is all connected to everything in a good way. They used it, tried to do it in a bad way, but it's all connected to a good way. So yeah, please, let's look at Knights of Pantheon and Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln's 123, which comes to Missouri, which also comes to Eric Trump, comes to silver plus gold. And talking of Abraham Lincoln, Parliament Square in London, just 50 yards from Westminster Abbey, 200 Westminster Abbey, like a thief in the night, 200. Mount Rushmore, 200. You've got Abraham Lincoln. There's a statue of him, and he's looking at a bus stop. So there's a bus. There's a number 88 bus, 88 Trump, that goes around Parliament Square, and there's a bus stop, and it's got a number. In fact, it's a letter, and it's Q. It's Q right there. Who put that there, Sheila? I've got pictures of it. I've done little videos on it. There's a Q bus stop where the 88 bus stops right in front of Abraham Lincoln, and it's Parliament Square. It's Westminster Parliament Square, and it's like Parliament is 109, and Westminster Parliament Square is 355 in numbers, which is remember the 5th of November. Everything's all connected. It's like a beautiful, well-crafted, divinely exciting game. And for people like you and me in our audience that delve into the numbers, the symbols, the languages, the letters, we get to unpick it, and it's delightful. So yes, please do share about Abraham Lincoln, please.
Well, it's so adorable how all these things tie up, and exactly what you're just saying about all these connections. We don't know how this is all supposed to work out, but it does all work out. And if we will stay open to understand and hear what we need to hear, to do what we need to do, and say what we need to say, it's all going to work out. And
Yes.
so what happened is my supercharger went out, and I need to have it rebuilt. And I was on my way back from California back to Georgia to do more research. And so God said to call this man. His name would be Wade. And so I did. And Wade answered the phone, and he goes, "Oh, great, we're hearing from you." And he yelled to his wife, "Is Sheila on the phone?" I said, "I didn't even tell you who I am." "Oh, no, we knew you were calling. God said we're supposed to show you the castle, the Knights of Pythias Castle in Springfield, Missouri, and we're supposed to tell you about the 72 chiefs of Babel that are running finance and lending and everything in America." I'm like,
Missouri,
who
I just mentioned that.
are
I
you,
didn't even know
Wade?
you were going to bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's Wade. And so boom. So here's the humor. Back in, I didn't know anything about Knights of Pythias. So now this happens in 2019. So backtrack all the way back to 1993. I meet this woman from Houston, Texas, who's living in San Diego. And she's a Colvin from the oil family in Houston. I can't say the accent real well right now, but you're getting the picture. And she goes, a lot older than I am, couple, 3 decades more than me, but we just had so much fun talking. And she said, "I think we're going to be great friends, but you just need to know my maiden name was Mutt. Now, does that bother you?" And I said, "No, but my dad just said, don't let your name be called Mud." And she said, "Okay, then we can be great friends." And then I said, "What is this about Mud?" And she goes, "Well, the famous Dr. Samuel Mudd." And I'm like, "Dr. Samuel Mudd," because history is he's the doctor that set the leg of John Wilkes Booth. 1993, I'm hearing the story so I can put it in the books in 2020. Okay. So I find out about the Knights of Pythias in 2019. I still don't know that's a secret society that they said Dr. Mudd was involved with. That's where the phrase comes from, "Don't let your name be called Mudd," because he was a tobacco plantation guy just outside DC. And when John Wilkes Booth went down on the stage or on the floor from the balcony, he broke his leg. And so he needed to have his legs set, and it said doctor underneath plantation farmer. And so they stopped and they got the legs set. So the whole time of his trial, exactly while Trump's going through his crazy trial, he kept saying it's some kind of a secret society, but you're saying I'm part of it. I don't know anything about it. I don't even know the name of it, but I heard them talk about the members and what they were going to do and how this was all formed. And he explained the whole thing. And so they just felt, well, you know enough, you have to have been a part of it. So they said they executed those guys. They never did. Those guys were protected and went back to Europe because all their families were from Europe. And Booth, his dad had a family in Europe, then came to America, had 10 more children, 5 of them sons. They all owned theaters and they were all doing the entertainment for Knights of Pythias Castles, right? So John Wilkes Booth was the famous one out of the group that everybody knew about because he was the actual shooter. But the other guys, they all disappeared. Who paid the price? Dr. Mudd. He ended up in the prison in the Gulf of Mexico. Here's God. He ended up in the Gulf of prison the exact same time malaria and yellow fever hit. The warden was sick. The guys that work there, whatever you call them, they were all sick. The warden's wife then got sick. So Dr. Mudd worked urgently and created the malaria drug. It's the roots of HCQ. So in 2019, I find out about Knights of Pythias. Then I realized John Wilkes Booth, Dr. Mudd, it all came together, and it's all in my 2020 book, book 5 of the series.
Wow.
Is that all of this was all planned. They got away with it. And how strange. And now they want to credit Abraham Lincoln with giving them land grants in all of our states and helping them get money to build all these castles and funding them to do all this to us and be over all the Sunshine Boys and Sunshine Girls. And there's tunnels under there. And their compounds have Assembly of God churches, evangel universities. all of them, and they have military stockades and military people. And so there's a military compound there, and you come around the corner, it's the National Guard Armory. You go further on the street, there's a Boys and Girls Club. You go on down, there's a baseball field. You come around the corner, and there's play equipment for a big daycare center. And then you see the stockade, the lined windows where they've got people held in the back of the castle in like a brig, like they do in the military. I don't know what that's all about, but it has all these horrible cell kind of structures of it. And then there's this blanked out house that's totally boarded up, all painted white, but been boarded up for a long, long time. And I said, well, let's see what's here. And there wasn't a real road. There was just like a little dirt access, but a street going the other way, because it's a few blocks, two or three blocks that this goes on. And we go up, there's nothing. So we turn around, and on the back of that boarded up house is a blue painted board with a neon sign saying enter here. Why would you be entering in a place that looks completely abandoned and boarded up? But they find tunnels in all of these as you come around. There's Evangel University, then there's the big Assembly of God Church. Then you come around the corner back toward the castle, and there's a work center to get jobs of people who are down and out. They want to help the people who are down and out, make them available. Then you see a 5-star pointed building. It's built with 5 business angles to it going out from the center, just like the 5-pointed star. And that's their admin building for what? And the day we were there in Springfield, Missouri, this is just in the last year when I went to the Doug Billings event in Branson, I said, I'd like to go, but I'm not going alone. And a bunch of people followed me. We had a whole car caravan and went there. And we were there when they had an event and closed the driveway to the castle. And everybody that came out was dressed in medieval clothing. Now, what are the chances that family, the Colvin family, tried to clear the name of Mud all these generations? So when I found out in 2019 about the Knights of Pythias being that group, I called the family because she had just passed in 2017. And the family's like, well, we tried for all this time. Who cares now? But she still cared. Do you know what I mean? But she passed 2 years before. But what are the chances in 1993 I would find out the roots of something that I wouldn't know anything of 1993 to 2019? Knights of Pythias, what is that? Because he didn't know the name of the secret society. And then I started doing the research, and I find out who the Booth family is and that they do all the entertainment for Knights of Pythias. God had it all lined up back over a joke. You need to know before we become friends. My maiden name was Mud.
Wow. Everything comes back round.
Yes.
It all comes back round. Wow. Well, thanks, Sheila. As always, it's great fun. It's always entertaining and always illuminating. Always able to share new knowledge with each other and ideas and understanding. So thank you. How can people find you? We'll put your links below. How can people find, get in touch with you and follow you?
Hisbest.org, hisbest.org. And you can find my books at lots of bookstores. They're printed in many nations around the world. And I don't know if it's in your language or if it's just in English. I don't know, but it's even available in Japan and Italy, and my biggest sales are in the UK and Canada. But you can get them at Barnes & Noble in America. You can get it, and I don't know if you have Barnes & Noble anywhere else. And then you can also get them on Amazon in all the different nations also.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, God bless you. Thank you, Sheila. So I'm going to say, everyone, The Pyramid, 119, Nikola Tesla. That's my Shungite and Orgonite. I have links below for that. The Shungite and Orgonite comes to 206 quantum physics. So I love this stuff. I wear it and it helps. It's a help. So Sheila, thank you. I will see you no doubt soon again, and we'll see where we are as a nation, as a global nation, on our journey towards victory, and we'll see what transpires between then and now. So God bless you. Keep strong. Thanks for all you do, and we will see you soon.
Awesome. I look forward to it. And if anybody wants to know about the targeting and what they're doing to us because they haven't stopped, we can do that too. I'll send you all the information and see what you think.
Cool. Thanks, Sheila. God bless. Take care. See you soon.
You.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, Tom.
Bye.
you.